I used to think I knew a lot about the JonBenet case. I watched the news, read newspapers, and even bought tabloids a few times to follow up on the story. Of course, I did not miss JonBenet's coverage on NBC's Dateline, CBS's The Case of JonBenet Ramsey, A&E's ID Discovery, and the recent Dr. Phil's interview of Burke Ramsey. However, the more I learn, the more I am confused. In what seems to me a total mess with a tug-of-war between the side against the Ramseys and the intruder side. Of course, we know as of today, the murderer won. However, with new technologies shedding light on old evidence, some hidden clues came out. And with two-way traffic on our information highway, we now know how to examine evidence instead of just accepting the news. Today, I will share with you the 8 suspects, the cases against them, and their defenses. Like I said, you will see old evidence under new light. As an added bonus, I will share with you my original analysis on some unbelievable and overlooked clues. Before we start, let's review some quick facts on the case against the Ramseys. Number 1. Police ruled out the intruder theory because there was no obvious signs of a break-in. Number 2. Police found no footprints in the snow, which further indicated that the Ramseys did it. Number 3. Although not on JonBenet's dinner menu, some pineapple was found in her digestive system. Did the murderer feed her pineapple from the bowl left on the kitchen counter before killing her? That bowl had only Patsy and Burke's fingerprints. When asked to look for things out of the ordinary by the police detective, John Ramsey went to the basement almost immediately. According to FBI Detective Ron Walker, John seemed to know exactly where to go. That is a big red flag according to the FBI. The 3-page long ransom note had both misspelt words, sophisticated words, unusual wording, and strange composition. Words like 99% chance was used both in the ransom note and Patsy's fight with stage 4 ovarian cancer. $118,000 ransom matched both John's 1996 annual bonus and their bank balance. A handwriting expert hired by police concluded that Patsy wrote the ransom note, and the list goes on and on. With the police's 60,000-page report, you could probably write 10 books on how the Ramseys killed JonBenet. But did they do it? Let's start with John Ramsey, the father. He's intelligent, wealthy, and a successful businessman who had the strength and intellectual ability to commit the crime. An FBI agent called John's finding of JonBenet's body as suspicious, and his moving of JonBenet the worst crime scene contamination. However, John was excluded by handwriting experts, and John had absolutely no motive to kill his daughter. As a matter of fact, after losing JonBenet, he lost his job, his ability to work, and all the $6.4 million in equity he once had. Although John had no motive to murder JonBenet, police did find a motive to cover up the crime if Burke or Patsy did it. You know, people can do crazy things to save their families. Assuming Patsy hit JonBenet and accidentally killed her when she found she wet the bed again, John may decide to cover it up with a plot of a ransom. Police thought Patsy was busy staging the crime scene when she wore the same clothes as she had the night before. A sloppy housewife may be in pajamas the whole day, but a Miss West Virginia would never be seen wearing the same clothes 2 days in a row. She must be guilty. Although one handwriting expert hired by the police concluded that Patsy wrote the ransom note, 3 others hired by police and 2 hired by John Ramsey excluded her. I bet you never heard about that, right? I personally don't think there is anything wrong for a mother whose daughter was kidnapped to grab her clothes from a laundry basket to meet with police at 6 o'clock in the morning. And did you know that a Boulder report stated that JonBenet could have eaten the pineapple up to 26 hours before she died? It takes 2 hours for food to get to the stomach, but up to 24 hours in the small intestine. Dr. Michael Graham said JonBenet could have eaten the pineapple the day before. And look at this crime scene photo. Clearly, JonBenet did not wet her bed that night. How about Burke? Prior to Christmas 1996, Burke seemed to be a normal, healthy 9-year-old with no record of behavioral problems. But after the murder, there are people calling him angry, strange, and jealous of JonBenet. Although it was generally believed that Burke was too young and weak to break JonBenet's skull with one blow, CBS showed how a 10-year-old can do it, and pretty much labeled Burke a monster. They showed some feces under the Christmas tree and reports of some on JonBenet's bed. Although they did not say Burke did it, by showing it with video clips of people calling him strange, they pretty much got the same result. But you know, Burke was questioned by police on December 26, 1996, December 27, 1996, 2 weeks later, and then in front of a grand jury. If the Ramseys are guilty, why would they let police question their 9-year-old like that? Details about another suspect surfaced during my review of the evidence against the Ramseys. The housekeeper, Linda Hoffman. John Ramsey told police to check on Linda because she had access to the home, was in need of money, and asked for a loan. And according to an ex-police officer, the police would start their questioning of Ramsey's friends with, "The Ramseys said you did it." No wonder the Ramseys found they soon had no friends left, and Linda Hoffman became an advocate against them. Linda testified in front of the grand jury and said Patsy killed JonBenet because she's the only one who knew the blanket and Barbie nightgown was in the dryer. Patsy got moody and was yelling at JonBenet. Patsy had multiple personalities, and on her statement to the police, she said she found feces on JonBenet's wet bed left by Burke. Let's think for a while. Linda was a suspect also. Isn't it common for one suspect to point the finger to another suspect? With Patsy's cancer fight, she was under a doctor's constant care. Was there any report of her having mental problems? No. I can't imagine any mother not yelling at their 6-year-old, but I doubt if Patsy would yell in front of a housekeeper. Also, if I have a housekeeper to do laundry, why should I keep track of what's in the dryer? And how can Linda know who left the feces on the bed without doing a DNA test? If a child wet the bed that night, most people would assume the child also left the mess. Why does it have to be Burke? I don't know what John meant about Linda having access to the home. Does it mean she has a key, the alarm code, or both? Her alibi meant nothing if she has a key or code that she can share with someone else. And please take a look at this basement floor plan. Did you notice the laundry room is next to the broken window? As a housekeeper, she has access to the pen, the notepad, and may know about the $118,000 bonus. There are a lot of other things you don't know about Linda. Linda may have told the news media that only John and Patsy knew where Burke put his knife, the knife found near JonBenet's body. She told the police that she did not tell John and Patsy that. She told the grand jury before they voted to indict John and Patsy that she was convinced that Patsy wrote the ransom note. She showed the opinion of 6 handwriting expert analysis of Patsy's handwriting samples. The media loves that story, so they conveniently ignore the fact that District Attorney Alex Hunter did not consider those experts professionals. While only one of the 4 handwriting experts hired by the police said Patsy may have written the note, while 3 of them excluded her. And oh, are you ready for another bombshell? Linda Hoffman cannot be excluded as the person writing the ransom note either. From the Steve Thomas book by Thomas and Davis, 2011, when the police questioned Linda and her husband Mervyn, Linda handed over a note to detectives when they asked for a notepad to write on. It was a visual match of the ransom notepaper, and Linda admitted it had come from the Ramsey house. Do you remember how the media reported the ransom note was written by Patsy's pen? I think they should say a pen similar to the one Patsy uses. It is a felt tip pen anyone can buy. And if the housekeeper can take a notepad, why can't she or anyone else take a pen from the house? And on that visit, the police found a 2-foot piece of narrow nylon rope, then another length wrapped around a stick. Do you know, these are the same items missing from the Ramsey home, but instead of suspecting them, the police praised them for their cooperation. It was a bombshell to many when we learned about the grand jury's vote to indict John and Patsy Ramsey in 1998. But I was shocked more by another bombshell when I learned the world-renowned Dr. Henry Lee said there may not be a sexual assault in CBS's special. You see, no matter who killed JonBenet, the parents are for sure guilty if their 6-year-old was sexually assaulted under their eyes. I bet that had a lot to do with the grand jury's decision to indict the Ramseys. But if there was no sexual assault, the grand jury was not presented the right information. As for the pineapple, if the Ramseys committed the crime, why don't they just say they gave JonBenet a piece of pineapple before taking her to bed? Also, recent finding showed there was plenty of snow with no footprints in the front of the house, but no snow in the back, which was the path to the broken window. You may be wondering, if JonBenet was killed by an intruder, how come it did not trigger the alarm? According to the book Perfect Murder, Perfect Town, written by Lawrence Schiller, Linda Hoffman Pugh said, "Patsy Ramsey did not like alarms because it drove the police crazy." I am sure Linda Hoffman is not the only person who knows that. Words can fly from one ear to another. If you follow the case, you must have heard that fibers similar to what was on Patsy's jacket was found on the duct tape. But according to the Bonita papers, you were not told about other unknown fibers of multiple colors and beaver animal hair. Well, the police found a Caucasian pubic hair and a human head hair were found on the blanket which covered JonBenet's body. The hairs did not match John, Patsy, nor John's other son, John Andrew Ramsey's hair. In the Boulder police reports, they have identified John and Patsy as suspects as early as January 1997. That mindset made many obvious evidences invisible to the investigation. For example, clear evidence that the window well area had been disturbed. Leaves and styrofoam had been cleared. Green foliage was found tucked under the movable grate over the window well, an indication that the grate had been opened and closed recently. Also, leaves and debris found on the floor near the broken window is consistent with those found in the window well. Of course, viewers brainwashed by CBS's The Case of JonBenet Ramsey may point to the undisturbed spiderweb near the window's corner. Let me ask you, do you know how big was the spider's web? Did Lou Smith touch the corner of the window? Do you know a leaf and a white styrofoam similar to that from the window well were found in the wind cellar room where JonBenet's body was found? Of course not. Like I said, the intruder theory was overlooked so the police could focus on their prime suspects, the Ramseys. As you can see in this demonstration, it is not hard at all to go through the window. CBS showed a picture of a spiderweb taken on 12/26/1996, as evidence against the intruder theory. Please take a look at this video again. Did Lou Smith touch the spiderweb corner? Plus, not entering through the window does not mean not entering the house. If they have access to the house, they could have entered anytime, anywhere. So, let's examine the other possible suspects based on the intruder theory. Possible intruders including Bill McReynolds, a professor and family friend who looked like Santa. What put him high on the list is the alarming coincidental facts that he gave JonBenet a note, "You will receive a special gift after Christmas." He seemed to be hostile to Patsy at JonBenet's funeral, and he seemed to be in the media spotlight too much. While Bill's wife, Janet, wrote a play about a young girl is molested, tortured, murdered, and left in a basement. And there's another troubling fact. Bill and Janet's daughter was abducted and witnessed the sexual molestation of their friend on December 26, 1972. Another shocking fact linking McReynolds to the JonBenet case: Bill's son Jesse served a 2.5-year sentence in prison for conspiracy, aggravated robbery, and kidnapping, and had no alibi on the night of the murder. However, DNA cleared the McReynolds. Gary Oliva is another promising suspect. He is a convicted sex offender who had been seen hanging around the alleyway at the back of the house. He went to jail for raping a 7-year-old girl in Oregon. In March 1997, a tip came in about Oliva. He had called a friend on 26th of December and sobbed hysterically, saying he had done something terrible to a little girl. A year later, he attended JonBenet's memorial service. 4 years later, and 2 weeks before Christmas, he was arrested on the Colorado University campus for trespassing. The policeman who made the arrest found a stun gun, a photo of JonBenet, and a note to her in his backpack. The third one hit a dead end 2 months after the murder when they found the dead body of Michael Helgoth. He was ruled to have shot himself the day after District Attorney Alex Hunter announced they were closing in on the killer. He had a pair of high-tech boots, which seemed to be the exact match of footprints found at the crime scene. He had a stun gun which matched the mark on JonBenet's body. He had a baseball cap with the letters SBTC on it. And police found a videotape of a news story about the unsolved kidnapping and murder of a 6-year-old girl. But again, it was a dead end when he died. Was he killed by his partner who also killed JonBenet? We probably will never know. Another suspect was a freelance journalist, Chris Wolf. His girlfriend called the police and said he had stormed out of the house on Christmas night and came back the following morning with muddy clothes. He became furious when he saw news reports of JonBenet's death on TV, and he owned a sweatshirt with SBTC, which stands for Santa Barbara Tennis Club. He had read an article about John Ramsey's company, Access Graphics, and may have had access to information about his bonus. He was a friend of Bill McReynolds. He is like the man walking out of the forensic file on JonBenet's case. But police cleared him, and when he was mentioned in John Ramsey's book, he filed a defamation suit against the Ramseys. For that case, the Ramseys swore they did not kill JonBenet, and the judge threw out the case. We don't know who killed JonBenet, but we know that person got away. Did police do a good job finding her killer? I'm sure we know they did not. Did the media's frenzy and jumping to conclusions help the case? Absolutely not. Actually, I want to show you a few clips so you can see how the viewers were manipulated.
What's going on there, old. How long ago was it? I don't know. I just found it out. So my daughter, is her name Timber? What? Is her name Timber? I don't know. There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? It says FBTC. Victory. Please. Okay, what's your name? Are you Patsy Ramsey or the brother? Oh my God. Please. Okay, I'm sending it on to Silver, okay? Do you know how long she's been gone? No, I don't. Please, we just got out. Is she right here? Oh my God, please. Okay, I am, honey. Please. Take a deep breath. Please, okay? Hurry. Patsy? Patsy?
We've all heard the 911 tape. Does Patsy sound strange? I don't think so. But let me show you what some experts said.
Jim Fitzgerald. He is exactly the right person to provide analysis.
There are many factors that are very interesting from a forensic and post perspective. Things were used. We have a kidnapping. What does it even mean? Where is the ownership?
She doesn't mention her daughter's name. She said, my daughter, my 6-year-old blonde. DNA and the analysis.
And what upset me most is CBS's twisted presentation of the case. They did a demonstration of how an adult jumped out when shocked by a stun gun. Did they forget JonBenet was restrained, with tape over her mouth? They showed us how a new panty can contain touch DNA, but did not tell the viewers the DNA on JonBenet's panty was taken from a blood spot mixed with JonBenet's and an unknown Caucasian male. That was something known 2 weeks after the murder. However, in 1999, when forensic expert Henry Lee suggested the DNA may be the touch DNA from a factory worker, the police did plan to test all of Bloomingdale's workers in Hong Kong to rule that out. They gave that up because they know then people will ask them to test the dry cleaner, the mall clerk, and a DNA match will not bring the killer to justice. We can't say the DNA is not left by a Caucasian male working in Hong Kong's factory, but we can almost say for sure CBS intentionally misled the viewing public on that. 20 years ago, I would never be able to make a video like this. 20 years later, with us making videos like this and a renewed interest in finding the truth, maybe, just maybe, we can bring the killer to justice. Rest in peace, JonBenet.
I can fly high in the sky, fly above the clouds with wings spread wide.